Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. A reminder of our top stories. Former Minister of Information and Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Dora Akunyili, dies at the age of 59. Condemnation trails crackdown on newspaper distributors by the military. Presidency says it's not a war against press freedom. PDP governorship campaign in Ekiti State gets a boost as President Jonathan and some party leaders storm Ado-Ekiti for a rally. And Ukraine's new president unveils plans to bring peace to the country's conflict-torn east. All our top stories can be found on our website, ChannelsTV.com, and on YouTube.com/ChannelsWeb. To get us on the go, visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. Even better, interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS, and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap on the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Dr. Doyin Okupe, has denounced reports that the federal government is hounding media houses with the aim of gagging the press. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Dr. Okupe says the recent checks by security agencies on distribution vans of some media houses is only aimed at ensuring that dangerous materials are not moved around the country.
The news publication suggested that President Goodluck Jonathan might have ordered that the media be suppressed and prevented from carrying out their constitutionally guaranteed responsibilities of holding government accountable to the people. We wish to state categorically that these reports are not true. They are rather unfair and totally not in consonance with the posture of Mr. President on issues concerning press freedom. The media, as the fourth estate of the realm, is held in very high regards by the President, and this has been practically demonstrated in various ways by this administration in the last 3 years. The reported incidents of checks being carried out by the military on major Nigerian roads and cities is not targeted at newspaper vans or newspaper houses because of the contents of the publications as insinuated in these reports. Rather, the military had explained that those routine checks were being carried out following intelligence reports on the possibility of some elements within the society using such vehicles to convey, and I quote, materials with grave security implications.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Dr. Doyin Okupe. Well, the campaigners calling for the rescue of the Chibok girls today added their voice to the clampdown on the distribution of newspapers across the country. A member of the group and former Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, described the action as undemocratic.
It is important that the government does not in any way censor the media. That would be such a regressive agenda, and a repression in times of democracy don't augur well for democracies. And I think that all of us are joining our voices, are we not? Yes. In declaring, are we not joining our voices in declaring, leave the media alone? Yes. Can we declare it? Yes. Leave the media alone. Leave the media alone.
Meanwhile, a United States Congressman, Chris Smith, has appealed for the provision of care and support for families affected by the Boko Haram insurgency in the Northeast. At a news conference in Abuja, Mr. Smith decried the absence of medical personnel and counselors in the affected states, saying it could further lead to a traumatizing experience for survivors of the insurgency. While condemning the abduction and killing of young school children in the Northeast, The lawmaker pledged the United States government's support to curb insecurity in the country.
As a powerful and sovereign nation, Nigeria owns the responsibility to secure the safe release of the Chibok girls, but the international community can and must play a robust role, supporting role, especially in the area of intelligence gathering and in the area of training. I visited the Fusion Center this week, where intelligence officers from the United States and other nations and, of course, Nigerian intelligence are sharing best practices and how to best find the whereabouts of the Chibok girls, but also in the larger effort on how to mitigate the abuse being inflicted by Boko Haram each and every day. We also had large discussions about the border issues, particularly as it relates to Cameroon while here, and also spoke about the issues of humanitarian or the lack of humanitarian access, particularly to the 3 states to the north, where people are dying and sick and cannot get help because the NGOs and other humanitarian actors cannot get there to provide medicines and food, nutrition, and help that they so desperately need. Perhaps humanitarian corridors, as was done in other conflicts, could be negotiated so that these people will not die or suffer irreparable harm because of all of that.
In the meantime, the United States is bringing a new dimension to fight terrorism in Nigeria. Well, this time around, it is financing a 24-hour satellite TV channel in the north of the country to counter insurgencies by the militant Boko Haram sect. To politics now. Barely 2 weeks to the governorship election in Ekiti State, the PDP candidate's campaign got a major boost with the visit of the president and key officials of the party at a rally in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti State capital, where the party's flag bearer Ayodele Fayose was formally presented to supporters. President Jonathan called for total avoidance of thuggery and other electoral malpractices. Among other leaders present at the rally were the Board of Trustees Chairman, Chief Tony Aneni, the party's Chairman, Alhaji Muazu, and the Senate President, David Mark.
The good rule of Ekiti State and federal government is to make sure that we provide security. Don't be afraid that there will be talk. There will be no thuggery. We'll make sure that everybody casts his vote. One man, one vote. One woman, one vote. One youth, one vote. Anybody who brings stocks to Ekiti State is bringing that to his own detriment, because there will be no room for that. We will make sure that there will be enough security for you to perform your constitutional responsibilities. PDP!
President Goodluck Jonathan at a rally in Ekiti State earlier today. While the correlation between gender emergence and economic development has been highlighted at a conference in Lagos which drew participants from various strata of the society. They agreed that concrete steps such as quota system, affirmative action and other political reforms that would enhance women's participation in governance must be taken. The conference is an initiative of the Winei Jimide series, an organization which provides a platform for gender inclusiveness and transformative thinking.
When gender emerges, economies become more and more sustainable. Welcome to this conversation.
This formed the basis of this conference on women in government and politics, which held in Lagos to chart the course for greater women's involvement in governance.
Will there be a day on the African continent where the chairman of a leading political party is a woman? Very, very few women to date have gotten party tickets, let alone been enabled to run for those positions and then to win.
The conference x-rayed the model adopted by Rwanda, where 64% of members of parliament are women.
I've been very, very honored to attend this kind of conference and give my small experience of my country about gender in politics and how we achieved the 64% members of parliament, where Rwanda is the first worldwide as the women are numbering men in the parliament.
While a political landscape that will allow for more female participation by election appointment is left for us to embrace, delegates at the conference are already looking beyond the rhetorics.
If you just say you want to fight for the rights of women and you don't want to carry men along, you're not going to get to work. Because at the end of the day, we have to understand that it's not a competition. It's a complementary relationship. We have to understand all those things. So for me, going forward, it's for us to understand that this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Let's talk. Let's have the conversation. But let the conversation lead us to the action that we take after here. And I think the action goes with policy, advocacy, coming together again to ask ourselves how far have we gone and then projecting for the future.
The Winnie Njemide series believes that by providing the right forum for deep conversations to drive change, gender emergence would naturally occur within the political sphere of African countries, resulting in stronger economies.
Parliamentarians from around the world are gathering in Mexico this weekend to sign a new blueprint that's aimed at stopping average global temperatures from rising to 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. The World Summit of Legislators 2014 is the biggest ever engagement of legislators on climate change, with delegations from about 70 countries. Our correspondent, Ayola Kasim, reports.
Things will be underway.
The World Summit of Legislators, organized by Globe International, comes in the same week that the world's two largest emitters, the United States and China, signaled major new plans to curb carbon dioxide emissions over the coming decades.
Excellencies,
the three-day summit is designed to encourage countries to enact their own national legislation to reduce climate warming greenhouse gas emissions in the hope of creating a patchwork of policies that will be sufficient to prevent the worst impact of climate change. According to the Honorary President of Globe International, Lord Dubin, the summit will also provide a platform for legislators to learn from other countries about some of the most efficient action that has been implemented to date.
And of this August chamber that we are...
The meeting is holding ahead of the crucial United Nations Leaders Summit to be hosted by the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in September in New York. The World Summit is holding at a time when climate laws are being advanced at an increasingly rapid pace. The legislators will debate the principles of what makes good climate legislation on mitigation, adaptation, and forests, as well as natural capital accounting. All through this weekend, the legislators here will be focusing on what mechanism parliaments need from the UN climate process to further support the advancement of national climate change laws. From the Legislative Palace of San Lazaro here in Mexico City, I'm Ayola Kasim reporting for Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the CBN releases draft guidelines on the regulation of international money transfer in the country. That's on Business News. Please join us again.